What if everything we know about one of the greatest writers in history is wrong? Welcome to the Shakespeare Authorship Debate. For centuries, the works of William Shakespeare have been attributed to him, but some people argue, did he really write them? The debate has sparked intense discussions, with many suggesting alternative authors from the world of Elizabethan England. It's not just academic chatter. This question could change how we understand literary history and Shakespeare's massive influence. The question of Shakespeare's true authorship goes beyond mere curiosity. It affects scholarship, history, and our perception of his legacy. So, who really wrote the works of Shakespeare? The answer might surprise you, and the journey to uncover it is just beginning. Now, let's dive into the traditional view, the one we all know. William Shakespeare from Stratford-upon-Avon is widely credited as the author of the works we admire today. Shakespeare's life is well documented. He acted, wrote, and produced works in London. His name is everywhere in the world of theater. This attribution is solidified by historical records, like books published under his name and references by his contemporaries. In fact, the First Folio of 1623, which collected his plays, is one of the most important pieces of evidence for his authorship. So, for many, Shakespeare's authorship is a clear-cut case. He wrote the works that bear his name. But does that tell the whole story? Let's see. Now, let's take a step back. Early critics were already questioning Shakespeare's authorship. In the 19th century, the debate started to heat up, with some suggesting that someone else might be behind these brilliant works. And so began the search for an alternative author. Among the first to challenge Shakespeare were those who proposed that Edward de Vere, the Earl of Oxford, was the true playwright. His noble background and education seemed a better fit for the works, given the gaps in Shakespeare's biography. Others pointed to Sir Francis Bacon, a philosopher and statesman, arguing that his knowledge of law and science was reflected in Shakespeare's plays. Then, there was Christopher Marlowe, a playwright who had a similar writing style and was rumored to have died young, possibly leaving his works to be completed by someone else. These alternative theories aren't just fanciful ideas. They arose from the mystery surrounding Shakespeare's life. Where was the evidence of a playwright's career, given his humble origins and limited education? The search for the real author was on. As we can see, the debate began with some intriguing alternative theories. But did they have enough evidence to overturn the traditional attribution? Let's find out in the next chapter. Let's dive into the heart of the debate. Why do some critics believe Shakespeare didn't write the plays? The argument starts with his limited education and background. Shakespeare had little formal schooling. Critics argue that his limited education couldn't possibly account for the sophisticated themes, languages, and intellectual depth in his works. Moreover, some say his lack of aristocratic experience makes it unlikely that he could have written about the courtly lives of royalty, statesmanship, or international affairs. The knowledge of foreign languages, such as Latin and Italian, present in Shakespeare's works, is another point of contention. Critics wonder how someone with no known expertise could have written with such precision. Some theorists even believe a nobleman or intellectual must have written the works, someone with the social standing and learning that could match the genius on display. These arguments suggest that Shakespeare's works might be too sophisticated for a man of his background, raising serious doubts about his authorship. But do these doubts hold water? Let's explore the evidence for Shakespeare's authorship next. Now that we've seen the doubts, let's look at the case for William Shakespeare's authorship. This chapter is crucial to understand why so many still stand by the traditional attribution. Supporters argue that Shakespeare's works reveal his deep understanding of human nature, language, and society, qualities that reflect his experiences in London. Shakespeare's plays touch on universal themes of love, politics, and human ambition, topics that anyone in London at the time could relate to. And there's also the historical consistency. Shakespeare's name appears on his works in a way that ties his identity firmly to them. These continuous references over time provide a strong argument for Shakespeare as the true author of these works. In the end, it's this rich background, this deep connection to the world he lived in, that makes Shakespeare's authorship so compelling. The debate continues, but these points reinforce the traditional view. Now, let's look at the key figures in this debate and what role they play in shaping the discussion. Welcome to a new chapter in our story, the people behind the Shakespeare Authorship Debate. Some didn't just ask questions, they made it their mission to shake things up. Let's start with Mark Twain. Yes, that Mark Twain. He wasn't just a humorist, He was also a proud Oxfordian. Twain believed Edward de Vere was the real author, and he made his doubts very public. Then there's Delia Bacon, no relation to Francis Bacon, ironically, who passionately believed that Shakespeare's plays were actually written by a secret group led by, you guessed it, Francis Bacon. Both Twain and Bacon helped ignite serious curiosity, dragging the authorship question from the shadows into mainstream literary debate. Still, despite their efforts, no alternative theory has ever gained full acceptance. Shakespeare remains on the throne for now. So, while these figures didn't solve the mystery, they made sure we never stopped asking. Up next, how modern thinkers view this centuries-old debate. And now, we enter the final chapter of our journey, the modern perspective. So, where do we stand today? The Shakespeare authorship debate may remain unresolved, but one thing is clear. Shakespeare's importance is undeniable. Today, most scholars still accept him as the true author. Rather than continuing to chase new authorship theories, modern scholars have shifted their focus to exploring the historical context of the works themselves. This debate reveals the timeless intrigue around literary genius and identity, and it continues to capture the imagination of readers, critics, and scholars alike. If you're enjoying this exploration of literary history, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more fascinating content like this. We'd love to have you on this intellectual journey. Now, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think Shakespeare truly wrote his works? Or do you lean towards one of the alternative authors? Drop a comment below and join the discussion.